What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first official episode of the Fight Night Podcast. I'm your host, Z. So basically, I was supposed to do an intro episode a couple of weeks ago, but I got sidetracked. I got really busy, so I didn't get a chance to. But with UFC 306, Noche coming up, I had to get something started immediately. So I'm going to go with this episode today, and basically, it's going to be about UFC versus Canelo. Canelo bigger than UFC. They're both fighting the same night, with Canelo fighting on September 14th as well as UFC September 14th as well. But a lot of news with the UFC low ticket sales. Canelo's outselling. Everybody wants to see Canelo. It's a Mexican independence, so it's a lot going on. So, with that being said, happy September, everybody. So, crack that open today. So, with that being said, I want to start off Canelo versus the UFC. So we know this is the second time I want to say he's fighting same night as UFC. The first one was Pantoja versus Urkic on the same night as well, and he fought I believe it was Jaime Munguia. So he fought him that night, and it was a big night. I watched it at Broken Barrel, and it was a really good fight. They didn't really have a lot of TVs on with the UFC because, again, Canelo had a big fight. That was on, I believe it was May 6th, if I'm not mistaken. So, with that being said, with UFC 306 coming up September 14th, and then Canelo is fighting, I might butcher his name, but Berlanga or whatever his name is. Really good fight from what I've been seeing. A lot of stuff going on. So, I feel like this is going to be a really, really good fight for him. Get his name out there for Canelo as well. But I'm looking forward to UFC. Sean O'Malley is really going to have a big fight, big card going on, and I'm really looking forward to it. So, with that being said, the next topic of discussion is going to be which sport is actually bigger. Is UFC bigger than boxing? Is boxing bigger than UFC? I personally think it's kind of an even ground. I believe UFC has better events. They host a lot more. Fighters fight a lot more. If you look at Alex Pereira, he fights a lot. And you got Sean O'Malley fighting. You have a bunch of big name fighters that shows up on the card. And then if someone doesn't fight, it's always someone fills in. But with boxing, I just feel like with boxing, it's always people ducking and dodging, because I feel like if Canelo was fighting, I don't know why I'm forgetting his name, but I know his name, David Benavidez. If he was fighting him, I would definitely watch the Canelo fight more than the UFC fight. Now I want to watch both. I plan on catching it at the Boulevard Sports Lounge here in Chicago. And if you don't follow my page on Instagram, follow Fight Night Chicago to see what local bars are showing the fights, whether it's in the city or the suburbs. Make sure you follow. I'm going to put the links down below. But, I don't know. I feel like UFC is becoming bigger than boxing because of the events it holds, and then the way they promote, and then also they keep a consistent schedule too. When they have the free fights on Saturday, and they have the pay-per-views once a month, and then they go to different countries and everything, different states and fight. A lot of the boxers don't really do that, and they don't promote it as well. They just put a big name, expect to sell, and go from there. But I do feel like UFC becoming bigger than boxing. If you agree, definitely comment down below. If you don't agree, definitely comment down below and tell me why, who your favorite fighters in both sports, and we go from there. So with that being said, we're going to go on to the next topic. Is Canelo still an attraction? Is he still an attraction to fighters? And the reason I say that is because he could have fought David Benavidez. I'm hearing talks about him fighting Terrence Crawford, about him fighting other fighters. Supposedly, Terrence Crawford was supposed to be November, December, but judging how this fight goes, who knows? Because boxers don't fight 3 or 4 times a year like UFC fighters do sometimes. But is Canelo still a big attraction? Is he still a big attraction to the masses? I know he's really big in the Hispanic community. He definitely represents Mexico. He has a really good drink. The VMC drinks are really good too. So I really feel like, you know, he's definitely promoting himself and getting ready to go towards retirement by, you know, doing other ventures and business. So I really want to get you guys' opinion on, you know, is he still a big attraction? I'm sorry, is he still a big attraction? And is he still, you know, worth the money to pay for? Boxing pay-per-view is pretty expensive, about 80 to 75 to 80 bucks, depending. UFC is expensive too, don't get me wrong. But for the card, you know, it just depends on, you know, who's on that card, who's fighting. I know my boy Danny Garcia is fighting on his card. I really like Danny Garcia a lot. I look forward to seeing him. I think Rolly's on that card too. Who is on that card? There's a few more people on the card too. I look forward to watching the fight. I'm definitely going to watch it, but I do, you know, want to know you guys' opinion on, is he still a big attraction in the boxing world? And with that being said, the final topic of discussion, to get you guys engaged, UFC ticket sales. So I've been seeing a lot, it's about down 72%. Still a lot of seats available. Talks about lowering the ticket prices. With Canelo coming into town. So with that being said, it looks like Canelo is still in the show from UFC, and it looks like it's going to be one of those things where we have to look at more of the cards that's being put out, and is UFC going to continue to match up the cards with Canelo fights? Because if this goes bad for UFC, how does this look in the long run? How does this look for Dana White and, you know, ticket sales to the pro? Like, he might have to fill in those seats with like some fillers or give away some tickets. I've been seeing a lot of stuff on like on Twitter, well, X, and things like that about giveaways of tickets and, you know, VIP pass giveaways. So I don't know. I really feel like if he's going to try to compete with Canelo and do these type of things, how would this affect him in the long run? Because, you know, Canelo fights every May and September. Is he going to push his back the following week of when Canelo fights? Because if this continues, then he has low sales and low views as well, low pay-per-view buys. Sorry. How is this going to look in the long run? Because if you think about it, if you're having an event and you're going to go against one of the biggest names in boxing, how do you expect to compete if he's selling out the arenas? And then you expect to sell out arenas too. It's only so many people that can come into arenas who wants to see certain things. Now, I think UFC is more exciting than boxing, but I do like the sport of boxing. I like the Canelo fights, like the Tank Davis fights. Floyd Mayweather just fought John Gotti again, I think it was about 2 weeks ago. I look forward to seeing Shakur Stevenson fight, Terrence Crawford fight, Earl Spence fight. I see a lot of good fighters in boxing. I see a lot of good fighters in UFC. But I do look forward to seeing UFC events because they're a little bit more exciting. I like the different styles of martial arts. So I look forward to watching UFC fights. I go to a lot of different bars and check them out. Again, make sure you guys follow at Fight Night Chicago on Instagram and at Fight Night Chicago Podcast on Instagram as well. And then make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to this video as well too. So I'm just getting started out, first video, and I want to get you guys' opinion on a few things. Basically, 1, which sport is bigger, UFC or boxing? 2, is Canelo still an attraction? 3, UFC ticket sales. Will this continue to happen, or will it just be a different type of movement with Dana White and his, you know, moving forward with Canelo's events? So make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe below. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys soon.